Come have a seat in the Skald circle and hear the tale of the cat's elopement, as told by Mynogan. Before we begin our tale, did you know that we release new stories for free every week on Wednesdays? Be certain to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, Podbean, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. That way, you'll never miss out when we release free bonus stories other days of the week. Never forget, visit thescaldcircle.com to stay up to date with all of our current happenings, and to also visit our story archive, sorted by origin and region. Now then, this begins a tale of the cat's elopement. Once upon a time, there lived a cat of marvelous beauty, with a skin as soft and shining as silk, and wise green eyes that could see even in the dark. His name was Gon, and he belonged to a music teacher who was so fond and proud of him that he would not have parted with him for anything in the world. Now, not far from the music master's house there dwelt a lady who possessed a most lovely little pussycat called Coma. She was such a little dear altogether, and blinked her eyes so daintily, and ate her supper so tidily. And when she had finished, she licked her pink nose so delicately with her little tongue, that her mistress was never tired of saying, "Coma, Coma, what would I do without you?" Well, it happened one day that these two went out for an evening stroll, met under a cherry tree, and in one moment fell madly in love with each other. Gon had long felt that it was time for him to find a wife, for all the ladies in the neighborhood paid him so much attention that it made him quite shy. But he was not easy to please and did not care about any of them. Now, before he had time to think, Cupid had entangled him in his net, and he was filled with love towards Coma. She fully returned his passion, but, like a woman, she saw the difficulties in the way, and consulted sadly with Gon as to the means of overcoming them. Gon entreated his master to set matters right by buying Coma, but her mistress would not part from her. Then the music master was asked to sell Gon to the lady, but he declined to listen to any such suggestion, so everything remained as before. At length the love of the couple grew to such a pitch that they determined to please themselves and to seek their fortunes together. So one moonlight night they stole away and ventured out into an unknown world. All day long they marched bravely on through the sunshine, till they had left their homes far behind, and towards evening they found themselves in a large park. The wanderers by this time were very hot and very tired, and the grass looked very soft and very inviting, and the trees cast cool, deep shadows, when suddenly an ogre appeared in this paradise, in the shape of a big dog. He came sprinting towards them, showing all his teeth, and Coma shrieked and rushed up the cherry tree. Gon, however, stood his ground boldly and prepared to give battle, for he felt that Coma's eyes were upon him, and that he must not run away. But alas, his courage would have availed him nothing had his enemy once touched him, for he was large and powerful and very fierce. From her perch in the tree, Coma saw all, and screamed with all her might, hoping that someone would hear and come to help. Luckily, a servant of the princess to whom the park belonged was walking by, and he drove off the dog, and picking up the trembling Gon in his arms, carried him to his mistress. So this left poor little Coma all alone. And this was while Gon was borne away full of trouble, not in the least knowing what to do. Even the attention paid him by the princess, who was delighted with his beauty and pretty ways, did not console him. But there was no use in fighting against his fate, and he could only wait and see what would turn up. The princess, Gon's new mistress, was so good and kind that everybody loved her, and she would have led a happy life had it not been for a serpent who had fallen in love with her, and was constantly annoying her by his presence. Her servants had orders to drive him away as often as he appeared, but as they were careless and the serpent very sly, it sometimes happened that he was able to slip by past them, and to frighten the princess by appearing before her. One day she was seated in her room, playing on her favourite musical instrument, when she felt something gliding up her sash, and saw her enemy making his way to kiss her cheek. She shrieked and threw herself backwards, and Gon, who had been curled up on a stool at her feet, understood her terror, and with one bound seized the snake by his neck. He gave him one bite and one shake, and flung him on the ground, where he laid, never to worry the princess any more. Then she took Gon in her arms and praised him and caressed him, and saw that he had the nicest bits to eat, and the softest mats to lie on, and he would have had nothing in the world to wish for again, if only he could see Koma again. Time passed, and one morning Gon lay by the house door, basking in the sun. He looked lazily at the world stretched out before him, and saw in the distance a big ruffian of a cat, teasing and ill-treating quite a little one. He jumped up, full of rage, and chased away the big cat. And then, when he turned to comfort the little one, was when his heart nearly burst with joy, finding that it was Koma. At first, Koma did not know him again. He had grown so large and stately. But when it dawned upon her who it was, her happiness knew no bounds, and they rubbed their heads and their noses again and again, while their purring might have been heard a mile off. Paw in paw, they appeared before the princess, and told her the story of their life and its sorrows. The princess wept for sympathy, and promised that they should never once more be parted, and that they should live with her to the end of their days. By and by, the princess herself also got married, and brought a prince to dwell in the palace in the park. And when she told him all about her two cats, and how brave Gon had been, and how he had delivered her from the mighty serpent. And when the prince heard, he swore they should never leave them, but should go with the princess wherever she went. So it all fell out as the princess wished, and Gon and Koma had many children, and so did the princess, and they all played together and were friends till the end of their lives. And that is the story of the cat's elopement. Thank you for listening to our story. If you enjoyed it, please take a look at our Patreon page to learn how you can earn great rewards while also supporting us. We appreciate even the smallest of contributions, as they allow us to continue to release new stories every week for free on Wednesdays, and also provide bonus stories for your listening pleasure. Visit us at theskaldscircle.com to view our story archive, sorted by origin and region, and to stay up to date with all of our current developments. A special thank you to Kat for their support this month. It means the world to us. Once again, thank you for listening to our story.